Today's program is brought to you by pennystockprofessor.com. For all the best OTCBB stock picks, sign up at pennystockprofessor.com.
Thank you for tuning in to another TBC Daily News Update. I'm Brandon Vincent.
And I'm Angelina Soriano. The 2010 census couldn't have come at a better time for the U.S. economy. The government will hire about 1.2 million temporary workers in the first half of the year to administer the population count, possibly providing a bridge to gains in private employment later in the year. The surge will probably dwarf any hiring by private employers earlier in 2010 as companies delay adding staff until they are convinced the economy recovery will be sustained. Money earned by the clipboard-toting workers going door to door to verify the government population survey is likely to be spent, giving the economy an extra lift. Economists at Barclays Capital Incorporation in New York projects that the 2.5 million more Americans will be working at the end of the year, and this will support consumer income during these months. Payrolls unexpectedly fell 85,000 last month, a Labor Department report showed today, and revisions showed they increased by 4,000 in November, the first gain in almost 2 years. Service industries like banks, insurance companies, restaurants, and retailers subtracted 4,000 workers after adding 62,000 the previous month.
The United States unexpectedly lost 85,000 jobs in December, supporting Federal Reserve forecasts that labor market recovery will take time and making it more likely that interest rates will stay near zero for the next 6 months. Payrolls fell last month after a revision showed a gain of $4,000 in November, the first in almost 2 years. The median estimate of economists surveyed by the Bloomberg News survey projected no change in December. Stocks fell on concern the recovery may weaken, and Treasury yields and the dollar slid as traders increased bets that the Fed will keep interest rates near a record low. While job cuts have slowed, companies are holding back hiring as they gauge the strength of the economic recovery and contend with tight credit. Monthly payroll losses accelerated after the collapse of Lehman Brothers Holdings Incorporated in 2008 in September and peaked at $741,000 in January of 2009. Payrolls were forecast to be unchanged, according to the median estimate of 76 economics surveyed by Bloomberg News. Estimates range from a decrease of $100,000 to a gain of $85,000.
Europe's unemployment rate unexpectedly increased to 10%, the highest in more than 11 years, as companies cut costs in the wake of the worst recession in more than 6 decades, but we'll probably see a gain in unemployment over the coming months. November's Euro area jobless rate rose from a revised 9.9% in October. That's the highest since August 1998. Economists forecast a November rate of 9.9% after the 9.8% initially reported for October. The Euro area economy expanded 0.4% in the third quarter from the previous 3 months. European companies are cutting jobs and paring wages to shore up earnings battered by the global slump, while economic confidence has risen to a level last seen before the 2008 demise of Lehman Brothers Holdings Incorporation. A surge in energy costs and a stronger euro threatened to damp the recovery. The euro pared its gains against the dollar after the data and traded at 143 at 10:31 a.m. in London, less up than 0.1%. The yield on the German 10-year benchmark bond rose 0.2 basis points to 3.38%. Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond President Jeffrey Lacker said the U.S. economy will probably expand at a reasonable pace this year on growth in spending by households and businesses. Housing should continue to recover from a very depressed state. Consumers should gradually expand spending. Business investments should make something of a comeback. Even with the resumption in growth, the level of economic activity will disappoint many people for quite some time. Some policymakers have left the benchmark lending rate in a range of 0 to 0.25% since December 2008 to receive lending and end the worst recession since the Great Depression. Policymakers will need to choose carefully when and how rapidly to remove monetary stimulus.
President Barack Obama ordered his top intelligence chiefs Thursday to patch gaps in the way terrorism intelligence is distributed, analyzed, and checked against watch lists used to identify potential attackers bound for the United States. It was his strongest and most detailed response to the Christmas Day attempt to blow up an airliner bound for Detroit. The president said, "We're at war, and we are at war with al-Qaeda." The White House also released details on how the alleged suspect slipped through the intelligence net, used cash to purchase a one-way ticket, and carrying a bomb sewn into his underwear, boarded a Northwest Airlines flight with almost 300 passengers and crew. A misspelling of the suspect's name contributed to the State Department's failure to revoke his visa, after his father told U.S. Embassy officials in Nigeria of his concern over the radicalization and disappearance of his son. President Barack Obama pledged to improve the government's ability to collect, share, interrogate, analyze, and act on intelligence. He also said the Department of Homeland Security would strengthen partnerships abroad to tighten security at airports with links to the United States. Obama ordered the Department of Energy and its national scientific laboratories to work on the next generation of screening technology to help with this issue.
In fashion news, Yasmin Laban, one of the world's original supermodels married to Duran Duran's Simon Laban and mother of 3, has not only put her name to British high street chain walls, but has designed and created an exclusive collection for them. Until now, back with vengeance and a superheroine who goes by the name of Yasmin Laban leading the way, walls are sure to pick up more than a few fashion credentials this autumn. Yasmin's collection of clothing and jewelry is a true reflection of herself, as her inspiration derives from her Persian roots and her very own wardrobe. The collection is sexy yet demure and comprises of 20 versatile pieces that are classically timeless. Key pieces that really stand out are the cream silk tunic with a delicate purple floral design and matching silk necktie, and a green one-shoulder maxi dress that Yasmin has already had pictures snapped of her wearing. Her creations are understated and luxurious chic, and all polished off with ethnic and vintage-inspired jewelry.
Today's top 10 volume trading stocks as of noon are as follows. Cord Blood America, CBAI, with 134 million shares. Greenshift Corporation, GERS, with 120 million shares. Camelot Entertainment Group Incorporated, CMGR, with 109 million shares. Unico Incorporated, UNCO, with 94 million shares. Zevatech Incorporated, ZVTK, with 78 million shares. Cyberlux Corporation, CYBL, with 77 million shares. Motive Nation Incorporated, MOVT, with 29 million shares. Metafile International Incorporated, MDFI, with 27 million shares. Bonanza Oil and Gas Incorporated, BGOI, with 26 million shares, and Ecologics Resource Group Incorporated, EXRG, with 12 million shares. In green news today, the companies Solar Technology International are making freeloader solar charging products, and they're making their way from the UK to the US. We first heard about the product line in 2007 when the chargers were released in the UK. Now the product line is more stylish and powerful than ever. We'll be able to buy them here in the United States starting next week. The Freeloader Pico is a small charger meant for small devices. The company states that it will take about 10 hours to charge to full and about 30 minutes to deliver its power to handheld devices, supplying enough energy to give a mobile phone 35 hours of power, an iPod 14 hours, or a GPS unit an hour and a half of power. It comes with 4 connection tips, a master cable, and can be charged via USB for faster portable power. For extra powerful charging, there's the Freeloader Pro. It can charge in up to 7 to 9 hours of direct sunlight, and it can also charge up higher 9.5 volt devices like portable DVD players and digital camera batteries. The Freeloader Pro comes with a cam caddy and accepts virtually every type of camera battery. This is fantastic improvement to the solar chargers, making them more practical for taking along on vacations and off-grid trips, or of course at home. An even more impressive move for the Freeloader products is if your battery wears down, the Solar Power International will take back the unit and replace the battery for about $13, as well as recycle your old battery.
Thank you for tuning in to another TBC Daily News Update. I'm Brandon Vincent.
And I'm Angelina Soriano.